ask you for the password, and actually would log him in. But he wouldn't know that he's actually, talking to my code and not talking to the operating system. So then what we would do is we'd go up to him and say, hey, Mr. Christ, your new password is blah, blah, blah. And he'd get really pissed, and he'd go change it. And he couldn't figure out how we were doing it. He actually made me, this is not bullshit, he actually made me, when he would log into the computer, I'd actually have to leave the classroom. This guy thought I was David Copperfield, right? That I can get his password. I actually had to leave the room. He didn't know he was talking to my login simulator. So I got bored of that, right, getting his password. So I figured I want to dial up to USC because they had the newest games, Star Trek, Zork, Adventure, right? And my buddies, we wanted to dial up. They had a restricted Centrex, so you couldn't dial 9 to get an outside line. Well, with my phone ability and knowing how it worked, I simply used social engineering. I called a department called RC Mac in Pacific Bell and just added outside calling. And then what we would do is we would call into USC and play games when we were supposed to be doing assignments. Unfortunately, an all-Aveti printing terminal, the teacher was able to come back into class and look at the paper. What is he doing? How's he getting into USC? And he's looking at it, and he rips off the paper. At a point, he was getting so angry with us, he would actually sign a part of the printout, the spooling printout. And then when we couldn't take it with us, he'd actually look to make sure that the top was with his signature. So this got kind of tiring for him. So one day he shows up to class. He brings all the students into the classroom. He says, students, I found the one device that's going to stop Kevin from dialing up to USC. And I'm kind of looking, cool, where do you get that device? And he holds up a telephone lock. It was a dial phone. And he proudly places the dial lock into the telephone, #1 position, and he proudly takes the key and he puts it in his pocket and he has a big smile on his face. And of course I said, Mr. Christ, what's the telephone number of the administrative office? And he gives it to me, and then the pulsing trick. I just pulsed out the number. This guy, his face turned red. He actually took the phone, it was like this type of phone with a dial, and threw it across the room. So I guess I didn't get along too well with my computer instructors in those days. So let me tell you about I kind of told you about my funny hack in the McDonald's, and then I know we're running out of time. So I just want to tell you what was the most scariest kind of hack for me, and this is when I was a fugitive in Seattle. I was leaving my apartment one day, and I had a phone. I had the Novatel PTR 825. I was able to get the source code to the cell phone. So what I did was I was able to modify the phone so when it would sit in idle mode, it would listen to the reverse control channel. And what would happen is if the signal met certain strength requirements, it would capture the MIN and the ESN of anybody that was in listening distance of the cell phone and put it into a table. Rather than me having to go get an ESN and an MIN, my phone device would actually listen to it and store it. Okay? So what I did is I went outside my apartment, and I turned on my cell phone, and I was having a conversation with somebody, I forgot who, and all of a sudden I hear, doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. And there's a school here. There's like a school where I'm walking, and it was like a military helicopter, and I'm just thinking, nah, it has nothing to do with me. And all of a sudden, I thought it was going to land in the school, and it's like hovering over my head. Doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. And I go, no, and I turn off the cell phone and I run. And where I was in Seattle in the U District, there's lots of covers and trees and yada, yada, yada. And I wasn't sure, was it with me? Was I being paranoid? So I got like about 3 blocks into the U District, ducked into a store, and then I turned on my cell phone again to make a call, and all of a sudden, doo-doo, 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 and the helicopter was coming closer. I go, shit, now what's going on here? So I waited a little bit, and it was like right outside the store that I just ran into. I shut the cell phone off. Then because of the situation of you could exit both sides of the store, I decided to go out the store and go about, I'd say about 5 or 6 blocks away at the end of the U District in Seattle. I turned on the cell phone again, and damn it, the helicopter's coming. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So I never found out what happened of who that was or